Well, what are you waiting for? Kick the hell out of me and get your standing ovation. Come on.
No, not this time. I don't want to hurt you. I don't want either of us to end up killing the other. But we're running out of alternatives. Perhaps it all hinges on tonight. I don't know what it was that bent your life out of shape, but maybe I've been there too. Maybe we could work together. I could rehabilitate you. You don't need to be alone. We don't have to kill each other. Let me help you.
And what if you're wrong?
Well, if I'm wrong, then what more could I lose?
There's a hell of a lot more to you than you think. Like, way more. Enough to cope with the trouble of the world inside you. There's enough to cope with the trouble of the world. And if you had enough courage, you could let that out. Enough courage and faith, you could let that out, and everything would be better because of it. Really, really. And so that's a good story, and it's also true. And so I'm trying to tell that story.
I think the best way to prove your value is to work, is to learn, is to absorb, to be a sponge. But you always want to outwork your potential. You know, as hard as you believe you can work harder than that.
What I see today is that everything's possible in this world for those who don't quit on themselves or their dreams. I've learned to reach higher and higher with our dreams, to become more ridiculous with our dreams, because they're all possible.
You and I are not so different.
I'm not like you. You're a murderer.
Well, to each his own. I chose my path, you chose the way of the hero. And they found you amusing for a while, the people of this city. But the one thing they love more than a hero is to see a hero fail, fall, die trying. In spite of everything you've done for them, eventually they will hate you. Why bother?
There's no perfect way to live your 20s. You either live them up and become an underskilled 30-year-old, or you work them up and become an underlived 30-year-old. You just have to figure out which you'd rather be, accept the trade-offs, and know that there are no do-overs.
So what? He's scared of love?
Everyone's scared of love, dipshit. You learn that in your 20s. It takes a very rare, very powerful being to be terrified of happiness.
Dumb.
You're dumb. That's why you're not scared to be happy. The smarter you are, the more you know. Happiness is a trap. It can't last forever. Let's say you meet the love of your life. Well, it's still gonna end. It's inevitable, whether by the slow pull of a disease or the shock of loose footing on a hiking trail, whether it be the corrosion of two personalities that reshape each other until they're incompatible, or maybe the old stranger in a bar who says the things that need to be said to that person that night. The point is, happiness always ends.
To be open to learning does mean, at least to some degree, always asking, well, what am I doing wrong? What do I have to give up? What do I have to let go of? What do I have to transform? That can be very painful.
No amount of money ever bought a second of time.
It's like when Kobe said, I was chasing perfection and excellence, even though I knew I would probably never catch it. But just the fact that I was willing to chase it, I would defeat most of my opponents, because most of my opponents would never chase something that didn't have any guarantees attached to it. Chasing perfection and excellence, even though I knew I would never catch it. But he had the courage to chase it because he knew what it would turn him into, and most cats wouldn't even go down a course to chase it because it didn't have any guarantees attached to it.
Be grateful for every single second. The goods, the bads, the ups, the downs, and learn from everything, not only from your mistakes. Learn from everything. Learn from your highest points, your everything. And again, be grateful. Be grateful for why you can't figure it out. Can't understand why you're so fucking awesome. Can't figure out why you're so great. Can't figure out why you're so ahead of your time. Can't figure out why you have answers to things that no one even knows the question to. Be grateful for that.
You know, they told him when he was done. He didn't decide. I don't want what happened to Doc to happen to me.
But that hasn't happened.
No, but I can't go out on the track and do the same old thing. It won't work.
Then change it up. Try something new.
I don't know, Sally,
Don't fear failure. Be afraid of not having the chance. You have the chance. Doc didn't. And you can either take it, or you can do what you've been doing, sitting in here for months.
If you can get a mental image of the person you would most like to become, begin now to act as that person would act in everything you do. Gradually, imperceptibly, you will actually become that person. It goes back to what the great German poet and philosopher Goethe once said. Before you can do something, you must first be something. Before you can do what you would most like to do, you must first become the person who can do it. A woman cooking dinner has only to act like a great chef to turn out a better meal. The student who begins to act like a top student will begin to get better grades. You can even look much better by simply acting like the person you would most like to look like and be like.
I tell young men, it's like, find something difficult to do. You need that. You're not built for comfort or pleasure. Like, if that comes along, good. You know, if you have a day where you're comfortable and there's some things around you that give pleasure, have some sense and enjoy it. But don't be thinking that's what your life is aimed at. That's contemptible. Everyone knows that. Everyone knows that. And if they orient themselves in that hedonistic direction, there's nothing in it but shame.
You will beat him because you are the Dragon Warrior.
Ow! You don't believe that. Oh! You never believed that. From the first moment I got here, you've been trying to get rid of me.
Yeah, I was. But now I ask you to trust in your master as I have come to trust in mine.
You're not my master. And I'm not the Dragon Warrior.
Then why didn't you quit? You knew I was trying to get rid of you, yet you stayed.
Yeah, I stayed. I stayed because every time you threw a brick at my head or said I smelled, it hurt. But it could never hurt more than it did every day of my life just being me. I stayed because I thought if anyone could change me, could make me not me, it was you. The greatest kung fu teacher in all of China.
Everybody judges by success of money or business accomplishments or games you won and things like that. The true measure of success is how happy are you. I know some guys that are fucking crazy rich and the most miserable human beings you could ever meet. If you get up every day and you're really happy and you really do enjoy and love your life and you love doing, you're surrounded by people you love doing it with, you could not be more successful. And it doesn't have to be this, my life and what I do. It can just be your own version of whatever makes you happy every day. That is the key to success.
People see me and think I'm weak. They want to take care of me, but I can take care of myself by myself.
You sound like my nephew, always thinking you need to do things on your own without anyone's support. There is nothing wrong with letting people who love you help you.
I think the definition of greatness is to inspire the people next to you. I think that's what greatness is or should be. It's not something that lives and dies with one person. It's how can you inspire a person to then in turn inspire another person that then inspires another person. And that's how you create something that I think lasts forever. And I think that's our challenge as people, is to figure out how our story can impact others and motivate them in a way to create their own greatness.
I choose to run toward my problems and not away from them.
Everybody loves a hero. People line up for them, cheer them, scream their names, and years later they'll tell how they stood in the rain for hours just to get a glimpse of the one who taught him to hold on a second longer. I believe there's a hero in all of us that keeps us honest, gives us strength, makes us noble, and finally allows us to die with pride, even though sometimes we have to be steady and give up the thing we want the most, even our dreams.
My goal was just to not be broke. In the spirit of just being completely open, I used to tell myself specifically, I cannot be fucking broke. Like that to me was, and I think because I was struggled a lot growing up and I saw how hard my dad was working his ass off. We traveled all around. We were able to pay rent, live a pretty good life. I saw what the end of the road was, and that was being evicted and not having any money, and him and my mom like scrapping. And so for me, it was, I cannot be broke. I don't want that for them, and I don't want that for my family.
And you see, in their last moments, people show you who they really are. So in a way, I knew your friends better than you ever did.
There isn't anything better that you can do with failure, no matter how unjust, than to learn from it. And so as a general attitude, how did I go wrong here is a hyper-useful existential stance. right? And it's also a bulwark against hopelessness because, you know, even if it was 95% situational and 5% you, if you adjusted that 5%, maybe that'd be enough so that the next time that situation arises, you'd come out on the positive side of it.
Rise, young warrior. You must get up. Your journey is not over.
I can't fight him. He has all my weapons. I have nothing.
When you began your journey, you were determined. Nothing could stop you. And now that you are so close, are you willing to give up so easily?
It was easier at the beginning.
Beginnings are often easier. But think of all that you have accomplished along your journey. What you have learned from your battles with the bear, the snake, the monkey.
What's the point of fighting my way up the mountain when someone else is just going to come up the easy way?
There is always going to be someone who does things the easy way. But that should not stop you from doing things the right way. It is your journey, young warrior. Only you decide when it ends.